What's up guys? It's been a while since I've recorded anything. Been waiting on some things and just hadn't had a lot of time, but we're getting back on it today on the K-Swap turbo hatch. So what we're doing today, the last video on this car, we built the intercooler mount. I'm going to show you that real quick. I got it painted up pretty good, looks nice. Got it installed, and I think it looks really good. I think it looks like something that you may would buy. So let's check that out real quick. So I use stock bumper support placement where the bumper support would bolt normally, and made some plates. So we just done a round bar and used the factory tabs on the intercooler to mount it. So I just hit that, I scuffed that up, just hit it with some self-etch primer, rattle can, and some chassis paint. So now that that's done, I've got the full race piping kit as well. So let me show you one issue we're having with that, which I think I've already touched on, but we're going to reiterate it. So the way the piping comes up on the this piping will go to the outlet of the turbo. It's designed for a sidewinder setup where the turbo would sit here, and this kit comes with like a 45-degree elbow. So the turbo, the outlet would be facing about right here, and the elbow would come up and it would go into the turbo here. We've got a rear mount set up, so I knew I was going to have to make a pipe to go from here to here. So I'll show you what I came up with. Usually when I'm doing fab on like pipe, intercooler piping, exhaust piping, anything like that, I don't have any way to manually bend pipes or to bend pipes at all. So I buy what I call pre-bends, UJ bends. They'll come whatever diameter you want, whatever material you want. It'll be shaped like a U and a J. So you get a 180-degree bend, and you'll get a 45-degree bend with straight ends on each piece. So you can take and you can use the 180, you can cut it into 90s, you can cut it into 45s, you got straight pieces, you got pretty much anything you need to be able to fab something up. So what I did, I used the 45-degree section. I've beaded this side. I want to show you how to bead. So this is what I came up with, and there's a wiggle room in a lot of this stuff, so this might not be exact placement, but so I came off of here and used the 45 here, and I needed another 45 here, so I had to cut another section off and weld it here. So that's where we're at. So like I said, we're going to need to bead this so it doesn't blow off. So I don't have any way to weld aluminum. I had a friend do this. He's a welder, but he's just getting into doing aluminum. This is one of the first things he's done. He's done a few wheels, but he's never done anything this thin. So he had a little bit of trouble doing it. But anyway, this is what he gave me. He welded it for me. I just marked everything up, marked it, and he welded it for me and rounded it down. So basically what I'm going to do, I mean, this is fine. We're going to have to paint it anyway. I got some wrinkle paint so we can match the finish on the piping on the car. So basically what I'm going to do is, the way he ground it down, there's a divot there. So it's a great opportunity. I'm going to just body work this a little bit. It's probably not going to be perfect. We're just going to make it look, just kind of make it look a little better. So we're going to fill this in with some filler, and maybe put a little primer on it if I've got any. And we'll go from there on it. Anytime I'm covering welds, it's not a big deal on a pipe. Anytime I'm covering welds, I like to use a reinforced filler, like a fiberglass filler or all metal or something. So what I've got laying around is just some fiberglass reinforced filler. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and scuff the rest of the pipe up. I'm going to put some of this filler in, to take up the meat of this, and just to kind of reinforce a little bit. That way, if there is a little pinhole or something there, it just gives it a little something extra, some extra strength. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get the meat of this filled in with some of that our fiberglass reinforced filler. And once that sets, we'll sand it down. We'll put some regular filler or some glaze or something on it, depending on how it looks, and then we'll go from there. See how it looks. Should come out pretty good. So let's get started on that. Oh, but first, let's go ahead and we're gonna put a bead on the end of this, and I'll show you how I do that. So these are some pliers we cut the end off of and had to modify them a little bit. And they make a pretty decent bead. It's not perfect, but they make a pretty decent bead on aluminum piping for intercoolers. I found this trick on the channel's called the Fab Forums, and I think it's on one of his. He does a thing on Fridays where he shows different tools, and so go and search for the Fab Forums, bead rolling tool or something like that. And, he shows you how to make one of these. Anyway, so we're gonna do it real quick so you can see how to do it. Basically, all you're gonna do is take your pipe, put it in here, and just crimp. I do it a little bit at a time. Just work your way around. I mean, I do it like, you know, kind of a lighter pressure the first go around. Then on the second pass, I'll yeah, do it a little harder. Okay, some other things. Got our hoses, radiator hoses. Anyway, this one I had to, it wouldn't really fit. It's been a while since I've done a K car, but I think these generally would go kind of under this pipe, but it wouldn't fit like this. So I had to cut it and rotate it. And I've got a hose, I don't know what you call it, but a piece of steel in here, made to connect hoses. And I got that in there so I could rotate this angle. I had to cut some out of it. Anyway, so here's our lower. We've got it in the radiator, and you can see where it has to go right here. So we're gonna have to cut it, probably cut it right above this dash line here. And we'll get that put on. And it fits perfect. Just get some clamps on there and we'll be good to go with that. So yeah, I'm pretty well just trying to finalize everything. I've got a little list here of things I've got to do. So finished the IC pipe. I'm working on that. Gotta get a battery. Then finalizing a lot of wiring. Just got our hoses done. Finished our turbo drain. See, finalize the exhaust. Plumb wastegate blow off valve. Build an intake and an air filter. Gotta do our harness, ground for our harness. Let's see. It's a lot of little stuff we just gotta do. No big deal. Relocate our fuel regulator, oils, check our plugs. Just slowly working down that list. Haven't been too motivated to do it because I've been waiting on this intercooler pipe. But now that I got that, I'll start kind of thrashing on it and getting going. There's a lot of stuff I've been doing behind the scenes. And if I work on it for just a minute or two, I don't really feel like it's worth filming. Sometimes it takes longer to film, work on it and film. So sometimes it's easier just to go ahead and do it. Okay, let's look at our pipe. It should be ready to start cutting into it. Okay, so that's good and dry. So now I'm gonna take some 80 on a block. I'm just gonna start cutting into this and getting it leveled out. So one more thing I'm gonna do, since this 80 is pretty harsh on aluminum, but I wanted to cut pretty fast on this. This fiberglass filler is kind of hard to sand. So I'm just going to kind of wrap these areas around it, just so I'm not digging all into these the aluminum in these areas that we don't need to. Just to make it easier. Just trying to make less work on itself, that I don't have to go back and try and refine all these deep scratches into this aluminum. Like I said, if it was steel, wouldn't be too concerned about it. So anyway, so yeah, we got our pipe here. Yeah, we got our pipe here. We're just going to start cutting into this and just getting it leveled out. Okay. Okay, that's good enough for me. I'd actually rather it be a little low. Like I'm not too concerned if I over sand it a little bit here on this step, because we'll come back and I'd rather really focus on working out that final contour with our filler instead of the fiber, the reinforced filler. It's just easier to work with. So that's where we're at right now. So we're gonna mix up, we'll clean this off and we'll mix up some regular body filler, some lightweight body filler, and we'll get that put on there. Okay, we got our filler stirred up. And this is a more lightweight filler. It is a filler, not a glaze, but it's still lightweight. You know, I wouldn't consider this what I would call a mud. It's more of a lightweight filler. Great for, you know, if you got smaller imperfections, or if you're doing, I love this stuff if I'm doing full panel wipes. It's really great, lays out nice, stains pretty easy. There's a lot of different fillers on the market, and they all have their use and purpose. They're not all the same. A lot of people throw the word Bondo around pretty lightly. I've never even used Bondo brand, so I don't find it too I've never seen any professionals use Bondo brand fillers, so keep that in mind. So you just stick to I just stick to U-Paul or Evercoat. I mean, there's a lot of good brands out there, but that's just usually what I stick with. Take, and the same as we did before, but I'll try and put a little bit, kind of spread the area out a little bit more here, so we have the room to kind of feather it out into the surrounding areas, if that makes sense. So I'm just kind of get some material on there, then we'll try and come back and smooth it out. Like so. And you know, if it's not perfect, I mean, I'm not expecting this to be perfect just because the metal work wasn't perfect, but make it look decent. But you know, if we don't get it perfect on this round of mud, then we'll come back with another coat. Or if it's pretty close, we'll come back with some finishing glaze, and I'm actually happy with that. So I'm just going to keep that there. I'm going to go with that. We'll let that dry, then we'll hit that, and go from there. Now our filler's dry. We're going to dig into it with 80, get it roughed in, then we'll finish it out with 180. Okay, so I got this where I'm happy with it. Got the filler smoothed out. And instead of finishing this out on 180, I'm gonna put one light coated glaze on it, and I'll finish that out in probably 180, and I probably will refine it even further than that, since I'm not gonna be spraying like a heavy 2K primer on this, because I just don't feel like mixing up a small amount just to spray this pipe with. And I don't know, I might, we'll see. But anyway, next step, I'm gonna get some glaze on there, and then we'll get that cut down, and we'll be have the bodywork finished out as far as the filler goes. Right, so I think where we last left off, I'd put a coat of filler on here, and I smoothed that out. Then I come back with a thin coat of glaze, and got that roughed in. And I really could have used one more coat of glaze, like I said. I could have pinholes here. Could just smooth it out a little more, but this is fine for what I'm doing. You really ain't gonna see that. And I'm not really going for perfection here. Just want to make it look a little better. And I'm thinking the finish we're gonna put on, it's probably gonna cover up a lot of stuff. So anyway, After I hit it with a glaze and got that leveled out, I hit it with just some rattle can self etch, just some rattle can primer. Obviously a rattle can, a 1K rattle can primer is just not going to get the build that a typical 2K spray primer would, which I have some of that. I just didn't really want to mix it up and dirty up my gun to do this one little spot. And like I said, I wasn't really going perfection anyway, so I put it on there and just to fill in a little bit of imperfections, and I just roughed that up. And this is what we got. So obviously it would burn through in a few places. I'm really not concerned about it. So we'll go ahead and we're going to hit it with some wrinkle paint. I tried wrinkle paint in the past. First time I've used this one. And the one thing I do remember is you have to put it on heavy. If you don't put it on heavy, it won't wrinkle. So it's a balance. You don't want to put it on too heavy where you run, but you got to put it on heavy enough where it will wrinkle. So we'll probably put 2 or 3 coats of this on there and let it dry and see if we get the wrinkle that we're looking for. I was on the background, you can see our tractor still looking good. If you hadn't seen it, we got a whole video, a couple videos back. We're doing a complete bodywork and paint on this tractor. You should check it out if you're interested in that. Budget paint job, come out great. That's one full wet coat. That's laid down pretty wet. It's got a little bit of texture in it, but that's about as wet as you can get one without having to worry about running it. So if I remember correctly, about 10 years ago when I sprayed some of this stuff, it's pretty much what you want. I'm gonna let this flash off for about 10 minutes. I'll hit it with one more coat, see how it's looking, and possibly a third, but I think 2 will probably do it. All right, so we got our pipe finished up. This is how it looks. As you can tell, there's a couple of spots where it didn't wrinkle. But once we get in the car, it's how it's gonna sit in the car. It's not really gonna be noticeable. I was more worried about, this part up here. But as far as the transition for where the weld was, it has completely disappeared. So, very pleased with that. So yeah, I put 3 heavy coats on and started letting that flash. It started wrinkling. I even put some heat on it, trying to accelerate the wrinkle. And it just was looking really blotchy and wrinkling in some spots, not in the others. So I ended up putting, before it fully cured, I put 1 super heavy coat on there. I mean, it covered all the texture, it made it slick. And I thought for sure that would get it nice and uniform. But it wrinkled up really good. It's about 85%. Like I said, Scott still got a couple spots, but anyway, I'm not too worried about it. The spots that's going to, be showing, I think it's going to look pretty good. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stick it on the car and see how it looks. Okay, guys, so I have the pipe installed, and in my typical fashion, I've already kind of scuffed it. No biggie. So problem is, I miscalculated the angle a little bit on this. So you can see our problem is these pipes are pretty close to touching here, and the lighting is not good here. Whenever I have the door closed at night, the hood kind of blocks some of the light. Anyway, so the pipes are almost touching there, which is no good. This pipe is really close to the shift selector, and also you can see the angle right here is a little extreme. It's kind of in a bind. Same way here, the angle's a little off. So my remedy for that, without having to build another pipe, I'm gonna try this and see. But I got an angled coupler, so I'm hoping it's gonna give me a little bit of angle where it's gonna move that pipe over and up, and just allow everything to have a little more wiggle room. So I'm gonna go ahead and it's a 45, a little bit of a longer one, so I have a little bit more wiggle room. So I'm gonna go ahead and slap this on real quick, and we'll see how everything lines up. Okay, so we got our upper pipe done. I'm happy with the fit on it. It's basically we used that 45-degree elbow here. I had to cut a little bit off of it because it was kind of long, but I got it on. I think it looks pretty good, and it clears everything that I need it to clear. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with that. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for the intercooler install. Sorry about my voice. I'm getting over a cold, but real close to being done with the car. This is the main thing that was holding me up, this intercooler piping. Now we got that done, I'll be able to move on to the next thing, which I've got a list over here. Let me go over it real quick. Basically, just go over the wiring, double check all that. Get a battery, plumb the wastegate and the blow-off valve, pull the plugs out, and check the heat range and the gap on those. Top off the fluids, and then we're gonna be running. Other than that, that's gonna get us running. After that, we'll build a intake, and we'll probably have to move the fuel pressure regulator to give us enough room for the intake. But yeah, that's it. Appreciate you sticking along here. It's been a long drawn out process getting this intercooler pipe done, building the pipe. So yeah, appreciate you sticking around with it. And pretty soon, hopefully within the next couple months, depending on how much time I've got, time is very limited lately. I should be able to get this thing started. But yeah, stick with us. Let me know if you like this, got anything to add, and I'll see you on the next one.